There is a much larger story behind a story that I played a part in, and I'm not going to do the whole story on this particular video. But I was watching a video and I realized how much this finite deadlight magnet mirror loves for us to live in events that have already occurred. So you're time looping, right? In other words, you're not creating anything new that hasn't already happened, right? I covered that once before in a number of different ways. But as to any value that it has to the future that others can experience, and then what I experience now that I'm sharing with all of you, the truth. Okay, so I'm going to share part of this story that's actually fairly long, but to keep it short and sweet, I was just experiencing a lady who was an attorney that got picked up for a DUI. And then when she got into the back of the police car, she was relaying to the police officer, "I hope you sleep well tonight. Do you feel more like do you feel more like a man, that you're getting your rocks off by being able to manhandle a female into your police car with handcuffs and all the rest of this?" And I understand how this works. I do. I've covered a lot of this, how this works between negative and positive magnetic polarity, or polarized consciousness, if you will, between how we perceive a male and power, and what we used to call power trips, instead of experiencing being in perfect balance between the two poles, to experience zero gender, which means you're experiencing an eternal sun, which is an eternal love vibration, which is pre-matter phase consciousness, directed energy. Be that as it may, I did experience, and this is like part of the end version of the story. I was in a courtroom in Newport Beach, and I was charged with DUI, even though I was not driving a vehicle. Okay, and so I had an attorney who was also a judge, by the way, in another courthouse in the same county, which was Orange County, California, in Southern California. Okay. And so we decided, okay, that I was gonna go to trial on this. We're gonna put 12 people in a box. We're gonna let 12 people decide based on the evidence, right? And I'm not gonna get into all the stuff of what wasn't allowed in as evidence on my behalf and what is allowed as evidence, and get into all the stuff about how rule-based functions work, because a courtroom operates on a set of rules, and you have to understand the court is a bank based on your social security number. You're a battery, what a bond is related to a soul, and a black hole system, beast technology system, right? With finite light, dead light, artificial intelligence, artificial life, right? Uh, and so what happened was, on the first go around, what ended up happening was I testified, my mother testified, another friend of mine testified, and then, of course, the police officer testified, right? And so at the end of the day, the jury was, adjourned to go and review the evidence, right? And it came back that 4 folks on the jury said not guilty, right? And there were 8 that said guilty, right? And so I was allowed, along with my attorney, outside of the courtroom. By the way, that's called a hung jury, okay? So now the district attorney, it's going to be up to him on whether he wants to refile and see if he can get a better outcome on the next go-around by picking another jury, right? Until they decide, forget it. If this guy was able to get 4 not guilties, okay, that stood their ground in that room, but there's no way that they're going to convict me, okay, then is he going to get a better result out of another jury? So this is where, in the art of communication, of picking jurors, right? Because remember, each side, now we're back to the ping pong, now we're back to the binary game of polarized consciousness, of picking jurors, right? People that are going to be in that box, that are going to decide your future when the evidence is presented, right? Selective prosecution, selective evidence based on the rules, what we allow and what we don't allow as evidence, and how all that works. So when we were outside the courtroom after the jury was dismissed and the trial was declared what they call a mistrial, I was given the opportunity to speak to one of the jurors now that the trial is over, right? And this is what one of the gentlemen told me on the jury. And this is the larger explanation or expansion of consciousness in all this, how we translate these events. And I asked him why he voted to convict me. And you want to know what his answer was? You were arrested. You had to have been doing something wrong. You mean to tell me that you voted to convict me on which I could end up in a cage based solely on the fact I was arrested? Yeah. You had to have been doing something wrong. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done that. You see how that works? It doesn't matter whether you're guilty or not guilty. Somebody puts handcuffs on you, you had to be doing something wrong. No exceptions. That's called bias, perception, vibration. You see how that works between two planetary magnets? I experienced that. See how the court system works? Have a great day.